only FM morning show that stands up and gives you a voice. The Jon Justice Show. On 104.1 The Truth, Tucson's News Talk FM.
.708 and welcome back to the Jon Justice Show. 751-1041 is the phone number. Don't forget this Friday, 104.1 The Truth Honor Flight finale will be held at the Chick-fil-A at the Elcon Mall, 6 until 10 a.m. Make plans to come on out and join us. Make a donation. If you can't come on by on Friday, you can go by the website, 1041thetruth.com. Make a donation there by hitting the Honor Flight link on the homepage. Baskin-Robbins also tomorrow between 4 and 10 p.m., all the standalone Baskin-Robbins, Broadway, Houghton, Speedway, Ricetown, and La Cholla. Make any purchase between 4 and 10 p.m. at any of those Baskin-Robbins here in Tucson, and a portion of your proceeds will go to Honor Flight to send our World War II vets to Washington, D.C. to see their memorial in September. Also want to mention as well the other big event we have coming up next Thursday. Roger Hedgecock, syndicated host. You hear him Saturdays 3 until 6 on 104.1 The Truth. He'll be coming to town to do his show live. We'll be broadcasting his show live for a special broadcast next Thursday 3 until 6 right here on 104.1 The Truth. He'll be at the Sheraton on Grant Road. All the information is available at the website. Let's welcome him once again back to the show. Good morning, Senator John McCain. How are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, John, and congratulations on the success of the Honor Flight, and I hope that people will continue to show their generosity so every one of our greatest generation who wants to be on that trip will be there. And again, I look forward to greeting you and making sure that they have an experience that's worthy of their service.
You know, and the really cool thing, and just briefly, Senator McCain, is that not only are we getting close to meeting our goal, we still got a few days left and we need all the donations we can get, but also we're really happy with the awareness through this campaign that we've been able to bring to the Southern Arizona chapter of Honor Flight. Northern Arizona has an Honor Flight chapter in place and has been doing flights for a while. This has really been a development of the Southern Arizona chapter of this. So even after this is done, we're looking forward to doing further things with the Southern Arizona chapter of Honor Flight. And that also means down the road flights for veterans of our other conflicts as well as time progresses. So it's such a great program. So, and
I'm a little parochial, but maybe we might consider our Korean War vets and our Vietnam veterans, who are both memorials here, are really, I think, incredibly beautiful, but also kind of indicative of the conflicts. All three of those. World War II is kind of celebratory, and the Korean War one is kind of stark, and frankly, the Vietnam one is a little bit funereal. It's very interesting how those memorials sort of reflect the conflict. It's very interesting. And so again, you motivate me to send some more money, and I want everybody listening to send some more money, including Pork Chop. I Twitter.
I saw that on Twitter.
I had a tweet out that I was going to be on the show, so Pork Chop tweeted back, so be sure to tell John hello for me. Okay, Pork Chop, you got it.
All right, I got a number of different things that I want to talk to you about this morning. The first one, and this one's been flying under the radar, and I certainly wish it was getting more media attention, but the CBO yesterday, the federal debt and risk of financial crisis, according to the CBO office, over the past few years, I'll read you just a portion. It says, over the past few years, the U.S. government debt held by the public has grown rapidly to that point, compared with the total output of the economy, is now higher than it has ever been, except during the period during World War II. And they went on to say, unless policymakers restrain the growth of spending, increase revenues significantly as a share of GDP, or adopt some combination of those two approaches, the growing budget deficits will cause the debt to rise to unsupportable levels. I mean, this isn't getting nearly as much attention as it should.
Well, I think one reason is because people realize it already. I think this is one of the major reason why you have the Tea Parties. I think this is one of the reasons why you see poll after poll reflect the frustration and anger that Americans feel. Of all the years that I've had the honor of serving, I see this as a really major issue of concern at the town hall meetings and the mail and the emails that we get. That people are they figured it out long before the CBO did. They just upgraded last Friday night. They always give bad news out on Friday night. They increased the debt estimate for 2011 from 1.2 trillion to 1.4 trillion.
Oh.
What's a couple of $1 billion?
No.
It's crazy, it's outrageous, and we should do many things. One, a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, but also we should have a domestic spending freeze of last year's, not this year, because domestic spending has grown 20% this year. While cities like Tucson, Phoenix, Yuma have had to cut their budgets by 10, 15, 20, 30%. What's the difference? We print money. They don't.
Well, one of the narratives that we're hearing as we head into the end of this year is in January we have this potential for the largest tax increase to be implemented, and a lot of this is coming down to the Bush tax cuts. Why should we raise anybody's taxes in a time of economic hardship? And by the way, when you're talking about 200,000 or 250,000, when you look at small businesses, a lot of small businesses will be affected by this. There's a number of small businesses where they make $200,000 a year or $250,000 a year and file their tax returns in that fashion. So, look, it's just crazy to raise any taxes at this time. In fact, what we should be doing is cutting taxes. We should be cutting the corporate tax. Everybody talks about jobs fleeing overseas. The corporate tax on corporations in America is 35%. You know what it is in Ireland? 12.5%. We have the highest corporate taxes in the world. Why should we do that? What do you think is going to happen with those Bush tax cuts? I know there's a couple of different, and there's talk about just doing it for those, as you said, over 250,000 and leaving the middle class alone. There's talks of removing them completely. What do you anticipate is going to happen?
I think the Democrats are getting very nervous. Steny Hoyer, one of the Democrat leaders, number 2 behind Speaker Pelosi, said the other day, well, maybe we ought not maybe we ought to extend those tax cuts. I think they're very nervous about increases in taxes, but I don't know, because they veer. The fact is, John, they're running scared. They're reading the polls like you and I are, and so they're veering from one. It's almost like they're running things up the flagpole to see if anybody salutes it, and then run it back down. Same thing that he has been. On a number of other issues, energy. Well, we're going to have a comprehensive energy bill. Well, we're going to do cap and trade. Well, maybe we'll just have a cap, lift the cap on oil spill liability. Every day they come out with something, with some new idea to see if it gets any support. And underlying all of this, of course, is the economy. And it's the economy and the economy and the economy.
Well, and most of it points to Senator McCain to the fact that they're not leading. I mean, they're not taking charge. They're dictating everything based off of how do they retain their position of power and cut, and minimize their losses coming up in November. I mean, I think that's what's so frustrating. I mean, regardless of where you land on the political spectrum, there's just no leadership going on.
No, and it's because they're flailing, and they're found out that the American people are soundly rejecting these tax and spend proposals of theirs. I mean, again, it goes back to the beginning of our conversation. There's a $43,000 debt for every man, woman, and child in America. As you quoted the CBO, it's unsustainable, and you would think that everything was fine the way that we continue with these appropriations bills. And by the way, what you're going to see is a continuing resolution until after the elections, and then they'll try to jam some tax increases and some spending increases in the lame duck session, which means going back into session after the elections with the previous composition of the Congress. We can't let that happen. We cannot let a lame duck session make some of the moves that they want to make.
Switching gears, the current headline in regards to these leaked documents when it comes to the war going on in Afghanistan. Hundreds of Afghan lives have been put at risk with the leaking of 90,000 intelligence documents. How does this happen I mean, I guess that's probably my number one question. How do these documents like this that can be so damaging to what's happening with our troops in Afghanistan, how do these things get out into the ether like this?
First of all, it's disgraceful and it's outrageous, and newspapers like the New York Times and the Washington Post enabling the publication of information which can be harmful to the safety of the men and women who are in the military, to me, is inexcusable. But what I think it is the new technologies have overtaken our ability to secure the information. This is going to be the next story, is why is it that possibly a private first class, you know, the one who's already been indicted or arrested for leaking information, how is it that a private or a corporal or somebody like that can roam in cyberspace and have access to top secret information, which then can be downloaded and used to harm America's national security? We obviously are way behind on security of information. It used to be all on paper. We could, have limited numbers of papers, even though the invention of the copying machine changed that. But still, we had ways, X number of copies, always held in close hold. Now that it's on the net, it's going to be, we're going to have a huge problem, and it's only a small part of this whole cyber warfare, which is the new battleground in the future, since there is capabilities of shutting down entire systems. As you know, the Russians shut down, I believe it was Latvia, one of the Baltic countries, all of their computers at one point, in some minor dispute that they had there. The Chinese even hacked into mine and Obama's campaign, if you can believe that. They must have been awfully bored that day. But, this whole issue of cyber warfare is going to be one of the battlegrounds of the future of the 21st century.
Before we let you go, Senator McCain, we're just about out of time, but of course the big topic this morning heading in tomorrow is SB 1070. We haven't heard from the District Court Judge Susan Bolton yet on what her ruling is going to be. We're waiting to find out if she's going to say anything today. I'm just curious to get your thoughts as we head into tomorrow. I mean, obviously all eyes are on Arizona right now because of this law.
All eyes are on Arizona. I hope that Judge Bolton will view this as not only constitutional, but a course of action that the state of Arizona took because the federal government did not carry out its responsibilities. It's not any more complicated than that. And I was reminded last night, I was on Hannity. I still can't get over the fact that the president said that because of this law, you couldn't take your child out for an ice cream cone without being harassed. I mean, that's just so unpresidential. It's very angering. And of course, the Homeland Security Secretary and the Attorney General condemning it before they even read it. I mean, what this is really all about is a political move to sew up the Hispanic vote in future elections, and I think it's really disgraceful. That's what it's all about.
Senator John McCain, hey, you know what? Just real quick, I just need one brief phone call. Gene's on the line. Gene, I have just a second, but I want you to go ahead and make your comment to Senator John McCain.
Hi, Gene.
Hi, I would just like to say thank you for what you did for my son. He was in 29 Palms. He came back. He was injured in Somalia. And he was not supposed to be on his feet. It was doctor's orders that he was not supposed to be on his feet. And the commanders at 29 Palms at the time sent him out to the field against doctor's orders. And I personally think it was to make sure he had an accident. But in any case, I called your office and complained from Tucson, and within a couple of hours, you had him on a truck back to base. You guys had gotten on it right away. You investigated it, found that what I was saying was true, and you had him on one of those big trucks from being out in the field back to his base where he was supposed to be, and I just wanted to say thank you. Well,
thank you, Gene, and thank you for your son's service to our country, and it's our job it's our job, and I appreciate the fact that you did contact our office. And thank you, and God bless.
Senator John McCain, as always, thank you for the extended time this morning. We'll talk to you again real soon, sir.
Thank you. Bye.